market structure, moving averages, support and resistance. If you take a look at this market situation, the high highs continued on until this very peak right at the top, right around this area. Have you guys ever heard of this phrase? The trend is your friend. Obviously, during the past few months, I've been receiving a lot of questions because a lot of you guys have been having trouble determining the trend, because when you happen to buy in a lot of cryptocurrencies, right, the price usually ends up going down and you end up having a loss. When you get to sell, the price usually goes up high. So today I really want to help you guys in order for you to be able to determine the start or end of a trend, because trend recognition is one of the most important skills you have to master in order for you to take advantage of the trend and basically be able to make profit. By the way, I go by the name of Muna. Welcome to Beyond 10x, where we get to talk about a whole lot of money-making opportunities, and this is basically where a lot of people usually get to learn about a whole lot of different strategies when it comes to being profitable and ultimately making a lot of money. So without further ado, you guys have to hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel because you don't really want to miss this goodness, because we are going to be bombarded with a whole lot of value, and I really don't want you guys to like miss anything, you know, because this is going to be one of the best YouTube channels when it comes to learning about trading. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. So when it comes to pattern recognition, I really want you guys to remember these three things when it comes to trend recognitions: market structure, moving averages, support and resistance. In every market, right, there's obviously going to be about three basic phases which are going to happen. There's going to be an uptrend, a downtrend and a consolidation phase. Well, if we look at this chart, it's very easy for us to recognize that we were having an uptrend because we were simply having higher highs. For example, this high is obviously lower than this high, so this high right over here is obviously way higher than this high over here, and if you go to the next high, right, it is obviously way higher than this high. So we are constantly having higher highs, hence an uptrend. If you take a look at this market situation, the high highs continued on until this very peak right at the top, right around this area. Obviously the lows are having the same type of structures. The lows are consistently having higher low after higher low after higher low until the market gets to break the structure by simply running out of gas or getting exhausted. In a downtrend, you guys are obviously going to be experiencing lower highs and higher lows. That's just basically how the cookie crumbles, and this is what the market structure is going to be behaving like. So for example, let's take a look at Bitcoin once more. As you guys can clearly see, right around this area right over here, this is where the market really got exhausted, and this is where the change in momentum really happened. We have a high right over here, then we have another high which is obviously lower than this high right over there. Then a little bit later we have another situation where the high is obviously lower than that one, and this keeps on consistently happening for a very long period of time, and finally we have this major dump right over here. And if you look at the lows, right, if you take a look at the lows, we are consistently having lower lows. This low right over here is obviously lower than that low right over there. This continually keeps on happening until the very end, right around this area. So remember, during a downturn during a downtrend, you are going to be experiencing lower highs and lower lows. From all this information that we have gathered, I'm sure it's going to be very easy for you guys just by simply looking at a cryptocurrency chart or any other chart, right? You guys are going to be able to determine what type of market scenario you are going to be dealing with by just simply looking at the way the highs and the lows are behaving. The most important thing that I really want to highlight for you guys is that it's really going to be extremely difficult for you to catch the absolute top or the absolute bottom, because you might end up catching a falling knife. knife. And when it comes to trading, right, you obviously have to maximize your profits and minimize the amount of risk. So always be very careful, and please do not ever catch a falling knife. Moving over to the moving averages, obviously we are also going to be looking at the moving averages, right? So yeah, we are obviously going to be talking about 4 different moving averages, the 4 EMAs. EMA just simply means exponential moving averages. So we are going to be talking about the short term, the mid-term, and the long-term moving averages, because they are going to be very detrimental in order for you to determine where the trend is most likely going to go. So going back to our beloved Bitcoin chart, right, I'm just going to pull over an indicator that I usually use. This is a 4 EMA plus the Bollinger Bands, but right now don't really pay much attention to the Bollinger Bands. Just look at the 4 EMA. Right now I have about the 8, 12, 26, 55, 100, and 200. So for example, when you are talking about a very short term type of time interval, right, obviously they are going to be using the 8, the 12, and obviously the 26 moving averages, the these 3 EMAs. So when it comes to midterm intervals, right, you are obviously going to be focusing on the 55 or rather the 50 EMA. So when it also comes to long term, I think I would rather use the 200 EMA. So when it comes to midterm, you're going to be focusing on the 50 and the 100. When it comes to long term, you're obviously going to be dealing with the 200 EMAs. If you guys really want to have access to this platform, I do have an affiliate link in the description. Obviously during this part of the video, you guys have got a very clear understanding of how you can get to determine whether we are having a downtrend or an uptrend by simply using the moving averages and the market structures. So right now, let me just give you a bonus method that you can also really get to determine what type of market structure you are dealing with. So let's also get to look at the support and resistance areas as well, because this is going to be very important. One of the most important methods that I usually use to determine whether we are going to have a very explosive uptrend, especially during a bull run, right, I look at the upmost resistance and the lowest form of support, like right around this area, right? You guys can clearly see that this is where we had the most amount of resistance, and this place right over here is where we had the most amount of support. Like for example, if we end up crashing this resistance right around that area, that's really going to signal that we are obviously going to be facing a very profitable bull market, because we are breaking the amount of resistance right around that area with a whole lot of volume, with a whole lot of buying power. So this signifies that we are most likely going to continue an uptrend. And in case you guys really want to determine where the power is going to run out, you can always use the moving averages, just like I told you. For example, if we had to crack this support right over here, then I'm obviously going to know that we are obviously going to face very bearish market scenarios where the price is just going to keep on falling and we're just going to have a very drastic drop. So that's basically how you can get to use the upmost resistance and the lowest form of support in order for you to have an idea whether the market is going to downturn or go in an uptrend. Let's take a moment and zoom in right around this area. Remember, we are looking at the 1-day chart, so it's more like some sort of short-term to mid-term type of analysis situation going on. So as you guys can clearly see, we were having an uptrend, then we faced a little bit of resistance right around this area, then we also ended up dropping down and we found some sort of support right around that area. As you guys can clearly see, we actually got to break the resistance right around that area, and the uptrend really continued continued going on, and then we had the same situation, resistance, support, and then we broke the resistance right over there, and the resistance, or rather the uptrend, really ended up continuing. So that's just basically how everything goes. So for example, right around this area, if we ended up breaking this this support right over here, we might have done something like that, and then we ended up breaking the support, and then obviously we would have some sort of downtrend situation. Like for example, here's another good example. We had the support right around that area, and then we also had the resistance right around that area. As you guys can clearly see, we barely even made it up right to this resistance, but what happened is we ended up coming back to the support right over here, and this is where we really got to like test the support one more time, and we just couldn't hold right around this area, because the most ideal situation was us going back up trying to break the resistance right over here, but we just ran out of momentum, we ran out of gas, and we just had to like go back, and we ended up cracking this resistance right over there. So that's just basically how you guys can have a basic idea that maybe the market is trying to change its direction. As you guys can clearly see, we obviously ended up finding some support a little bit lower, right, and we started going in an uptrend, and we still couldn't break the resistance. So this was obviously a clear indicator that the market has obviously changed its direction. This is where everything happened, and you know, the price continued to be in a downtrend, and right around this area there was like a turnaround when we experienced higher highs. This is where everything started changing. Look at that, we've got a higher high, we've got a higher high, another higher high, and then it just kept on breaking the resistance that we previously faced. So this is where everything happened. This was the utmost resistance that we had, and we ended up breaking it right there, and we had this crazy bull run which happened like you know, in 2017. So that's basically how you can actually get to use the support and the resistance as well, to basically have a basic idea of where the market is most likely going to go, whether it's going to end up going in a downtrend, whether it's going to end up having an uptrend. So basically you can end up doing that. And when it comes to trading consolidations, that's another topic for another day. So I really hope that you guys found this video very interesting, and in the next video I'm going to be talking about the different strategies that you're going to be implementing, especially when it comes to trading with a trend. So yeah, today was basically being able to identify what type of market situation that you have. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about the type of indicators that you guys are supposed to be using, the type of methods that you are supposed to be using, especially when you are trading with the trend. For example, if we are having a bull market, right? Where are you supposed to get in? Where are you supposed to get out? What type of indicators are you going to be able to utilize in order for you to like you know, sell and trade and pretty much get to make profit? So that's what we're going to be talking about in the next video. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel. In case you've got any other questions, contributions, or solutions, or just anything, basically just drop everything in the comment section below. It's been your boy Muna, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit later. So stay profitable, be good, and have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, me done talking. Yeah, me does them gun barking you. Yeah, me done talking. Yeah, me does them gun barking you. Yeah, me done talking. Yeah, me does.